Welcome to Charts Today. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 1st of November, comes to you from London. And we look at the dollar index first. Dollar index just showing a little bit of short-term weakness. Remember, this is our long-term, medium-term, and short-term picture. 1% log scale point and figure charts, 0.5% log scale, and 0.1% log scale on the 60-minute data, weekly, daily, and 60-minute charts. So this gives us a very quick overview of what's going on, keeping the long-term picture always in mind, medium-term picture and how that's changing, and the short-term picture, of course, will change the most. So we see here below the cloud, we do just have a little bit of negative pressure. Lower lows, of course, the Dow theory, if we go lower than these levels here, it's about 98.30, then we can expect that we might see lower still. So we do have a downside target here of about 1%. Dollar is pulling back after a very strong run, so that's to be expected, really. And if we look at the euro, the picture is reversed, of course. So dollar weakness, euro strength. So here we see we're still bearish in the long and medium term, but the short-term picture is just gathering some momentum. We do have an upside target that's not yet activated of 112, but boy oh boy, do we have a lot of downside targets hanging over us here on the euro. So still a bearish picture in the medium term, but with a short-term recovery. If we look at the yen, a good sort of further proxy for the dollar. This chart is inverted. That means that if the chart goes higher, the dollar buys more yen. So here we see that we're still in an uptrend, so the dollar strength against the yen is being maintained. So in this instance, we have upside targets, yen weakness, basically dollar strength. If we look at sterling, sterling just kicking up as we speak this morning, so that's really quite interesting. This upside target just about to be activated back to 125, but it's only one target, so we need to probably see some more targets coming in here. But sterling just staging a little bit of a recovery this morning. If we look at against the euro, still showing the weakness here. So one pound buys 111 on the euro and downside target. So euro is still a stronger currency. Look at the Swiss. Just ticking up here as well, but still in bearish territory with downside targets. And the Australian dollar just as a further proxy for what's going on. Sterling did show a little bit of strength, but it's now just kicking back again. We're sort of above the cloud. We're just trying to activate a target here. So sterling is showing a slight recovery, but it's too early to say that we've got a long-term recovery in train. S&P 500 just struggling again at this 2100 sort of area. 2120 is the really key level. Just last night we drifted. We couldn't really gain any strength here. A little bit worrying on this market. Just looking at the downside targets here, but we do have support as well. So key thing is at the moment we've just got a lot of uncertainty around the US election. If we look at the Nasdaq, much the same picture, only one downside target here, so not so clear. The Russell is probably the more worrying index. Long term, we just haven't managed to make new highs. We're just coming through on the cloud here, and again, we do have downside targets, one as much as 6%. So just need to be aware of that. And then the Dow, again, like the S&P, a bit of a mixed picture. Downside targets and upside targets both activated. So market could go either way, that uncertainty clicking through. Looking at the futures, futures have got about 1/3% upside at the moment this morning. So we should probably expect the US market will open a little bit higher. If we look at FTSE, FTSE again just struggling at this 7,000 level, really struggling there. So we just do have a mixed picture, bearish on the short term, bullish on the medium and long term. FTSE 250, much the same picture. The DAX just starting to wander down south, and we do have one target as well. So markets just generally, except for Asia, markets short term are looking a little bit worrying, but Asia is still showing strength. Nikkei short term trend is being maintained here above the cloud. When we're above the cloud, we're bullish, remember. If we look at Shanghai, again, we're in bullish mode. Long term bearish, but we're in bullish mode here. And recently the Hang Seng had a bit of a sell off. That's still in bearish mode, but did have quite a good night overnight. India, is back open again. So if we see India, we do have a picture where we've got a mixed picture, but just getting back above the cloud here. So quite interesting there. And the Australian market still looking a little bit in the doldrums. New downside target here, not yet activated. New lows would do that. If we look at Brent crude, crude oil has been really strong for the seasonal effect, but just in the last week or two, it has actually just showing some weakness below this $50 mark now. Really big thrust target downside. Remember, these targets are all about uninterrupted selling thrust. So we've got a really big thrust side target down here, and if we fall below sort of 48.40. Then that would activate that target down to 44.40. So 9% downside there potential if we make new lows. WTI, we don't have quite the same downside target yet, but that is also looking pretty bearish below the cloud. The seasonal weakness now kicking in, and much the same for heating oil, except that this is looking a little bit more bullish on the short term, just moving above the cloud. So normally follows crude very strongly, but heating oil just showing a little bit more strength. Nat gas did have that kick above $3, but last night just got back to below this 299 level. So it's really quite key. And if we put in a new thrust downside target, if we move below this sort of 297 level, then we're back to the mid 270s. So although we're looking good in the medium term and the long term starting to look like a big trend change, short term the picture has just come off bearish again. Corn, if we look at corn, bullish in the short term, but no clear upside targets. The daily chart is starting to wander through with an upside target, but really not enough to play for. And the weekly chart still bearish, although we are starting to see an upside target there as well. If we just take a look at coffee, coffee's had big moves lately, bullish on all fronts here. So coffee is one of the better looking soft commodities. And then if we look at gold, we see gold is just creeping up there. It's back to 1279, but a lot of upside targets here now kicking in on gold, and we're getting a new one with every thrust. This one 1316. There is resistance here, but quite key. And if we look at the daily chart, support, we're here through on the cloud here, but it looks like we're building a little bit of a base. And of course, the long-term picture is still pretty bullish. Silver looks better still, and we tend to find silver leads gold a little bit, kicking up and making new highs here this morning. Upside targets of anywhere between 1 and 5% in the short term. No clear targets here on the upside, well, the medium-term targets we do have quite big ones here, but the long-term target's not as clear as gold. But this is starting to look very bullish short-term. Probably that uncertainty in US elections driving precious metals a little bit there. Copper looking very strong in the short term, back above the cloud in the medium term, still bearish in the long term. Downside targets way over us here, but some new upside targets and resistance, so we just need to be aware of that too. If we take a look at US government bonds, looking strong again, just finding support on the cloud in the short term. 188 was the target. We nearly got there. It looks like we're having another bid for that target. Long term, we've got interest rates at, this is the 10-year US bond yield, 217, 213. So above 2% is looking pretty likely. Take a look at Apple. Bearish at the moment, below the cloud on the short term. Downside target of 106, that's about 6% downside, but only one target. We'd like to see multiple targets really. Google just heading back below the cloud as well. Quite a lot of volatility here showing in this configuration here. So it looks great medium and long term. If we look at Amazon, Amazon has just pulled back quite a lot with those recent announcements. Do have a new upside target. If we go higher, we activate it, taking us back to where we were basically. And last of all, Facebook reporting results tomorrow night, and we're seeing here still bullish above the cloud. Really good medium and long-term targets. A little bit of uncertainty short-term heading into those results. That's it from today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.